Welcome to virtual Japan as we are here today for round number 6.
Oh, Pearson gets into the 95 of Bolts. Here comes the caution.
Flag is dropped here at Daytona and away we go for the first time. Nicholas Porcel, Sean.
It looks like most get through unscathed. Look at that, there's Reed Gibson. A big move at the inside line of Dom's, possibly a little bit of contact.
Now as we've got 3 wide action going through turns 1 and 2.
And they're underway. Eric Hahn takes a nice jump. Wilson hasn't let him go very far.
Go out here for Circuit Spa Francorchamps. Alex Johnson's off to a brilliant start there.
See just how oddly shaped this one is. We saw in the background Eric Hahn go for a bit of a swing and he's gone and he's over.
New stuff. Cody Graham's the one-on-one up into second place. Alex Johnson 6/10 lead at the moment.
J2ICS up front. There's Andrew Kessel, Justin Sang.
They are ready to go. The lights are out and away we go for the very first time here at Okayama International Circuit. Finley Fitzsimmons.
Good evening and welcome to the sunny skies of Florida. Tonight we have an epic race for you as we come to you from the Just Two Idiots Cup Series here at Sebring International Raceway. I am your host, Gareth McAllister, bringing you the action in 1080p and 60 frames per second, provided my Aussie internet does not let me down. We are bringing you the action and we're getting ready for a good one as qualifying has definitely set underway and is currently going through. Now, we've just witnessed at the back, you can see there, Biker Pilot going for a little bit of a spin. These drivers definitely have some work cut out for them as we're currently catching up with you-know-who making his way around in that lovely looking Porsche GTE. Now these GTE machines, no assist at all as opposed to their GT3 counterparts, but what I mean by that is that there is no traction control assist to help you when you are about to lose the car, and as well alongside that we also have no ABS, so no anti-lock braking system helping these cars to slow down in their time of need and desperation. So these drivers definitely have to be on their game for all 90 minutes of this upcoming event here at Sebring, and definitely a challenging one. Some high curbs when you don't expect them, and a lot of varying terrain as well as you come from the circuit itself onto the actual and old disused airfield, I believe, this day and age. So these drivers are very much looking forward to it. Race TV saying, hey Goon Squad. Hello from Team Goon Squad myself as well, I can say. So nice, very nice to have you, and I believe we have 10 or 11 other people watching as well at the moment. So fantastic to see the supporters coming out here. And another car guy saying that he's never been here early enough for quali. But biggity, biggity, biggity. Or biggity boogity. Let's go racing, boys. As the famous line from NASCAR will be given there, I'm sure. But yes, so nice to see you here early, as qualifying is definitely underway. Now we still have about 10 minutes to go. It does take them a little bit of a while to get around this circuit, as well as to warm the tyres up to getting a nice solid time. And you can see a few 157s, 158s coming up on the board here as drivers make their way through. You-know-who just setting his time of just a tad, just a smidgen over 2 minutes at the moment. As we're going to take a look at Simply Steve, who had a little bit of a moment there, but caught himself back onto track. It is in qualifying, so it's all okay for the moment. Now there is open quali, as you can see. All the other drivers are on circuit right now. It's a very, very busy raceway. All trying to find exactly where they want to be, as opposed to their competition not getting in anyone's way, as well as potentially using the draft of a car in front to increase their time, especially down the straightaway. That's definitely going to be something to keep an eye on. Benny Dixon coming in saying good luck, drivers. And I couldn't have said it better myself. So cheers for that one penny. Now our fastest drivers in practices 1, 2, and 3 heading into tonight's event. Simply Steve was our fastest driver of practice 1 with a 1:56.1. Followed by Joshua Spears in practice 2 and 3, both setting quick times of a 1:55.5 and a 1:56.0 respectively. So these drivers are looking for that 1:55 mark. Will be very, very difficult to achieve, as well as anything under 2 minutes I'd say is a pretty quick lap time here at Sebring. We should be seeing quite a few of those, as these drivers are renowned for being quite quick on circuit. Void came in there with a 1:55.9, as Dixon does set the fastest lap so far with a 1:55.2. That is faster than all of our practice sessions so far. So basically took whatever I just told you about lap times and throw it out the window, as that is certainly looking like what Dixon wants us to do. Dixon being the leader of the driver's standings at the moment. At present time, Dixon up top with Tonlo not too far behind, and Beaver bringing up the top 3 spots. So certainly some close battles, as well as a lot of battles. We have a few drivers coming in with some team standings results as well, getting very, very close to the top 3 spots. Well, especially the top 2, I should say, as they are neck and neck with Love Seat and Speed Squad. Now, at the moment, what we have is Speed Squad, consisting of Simply Steve and Eat My Dust, as opposed to Love Seat's Beaver and Captain CK. Ozak making his way up the standings with a 1:55.88. Going up into the 3rd position on the standings there, about just over halfway through qualifying. And we have the race time set, I believe, at 45 minutes before sunset, so we may see this one, in fact we should see this one being a 90-minute race. We should see it head into the night as we get down to it. So the lights will come on and we will have a very interesting race, and potentially quite a cold track out there for these drivers to navigate, trying to find any kind of grip, as the track will feel like ice potentially, although the tyres should be a bit hotter. We are expecting a few tyre stops tonight, 25 to 30 minutes per stop, as well as a predicted 1 tyre change stop as well. So just to see who can work out the strategy, where it's going to come from, and who can play that out to the best of their ability. That was Joshua Spears that we were just taking a look at, as he was the leader in practice 2 and 3. Just pulling over to the side, letting his teammate get up in front. And as I was saying, so 3rd place as well, just as I correct myself, Up Front Motorsports with Joshua Spears and You Know Who. Those 2 drivers on screen right now, as Joshua Spears has a little bit of a lockup. And you can see the tyres fighting him there, very, very hot after making that lockup. So he's going to have to be careful around the next few corners as those tyres cool down and get back to temp. J2ICS Cup Series, definitely never disappointing. This is the Endurance Series, a bi-weekly event running in conjunction every week with their Sprint Series. The Endurance Series following along with the Sprint Series schedule in terms of dates. So the Sprint Series just had their 5th race a couple of weeks ago, and the Endurance Series now coming into their 5th race of the season as well, out of 8. And our next race of the Endurance Series won't be coming to you until the new year. So we look forward to seeing you then. And before we see you then, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year if we do not see you for the next Sprint Series race, which I believe, as I get confirmation, I believe that is just before the break into the new year. I believe we have one more Sprint Series race. And it appears that I am proven right with Canadian Tire bringing in the Sprint Series calendar, which is LMP3 only, and that will be coming to you December 20th. So we look forward to that one next week. But I hope you've had a lovely time. Potentially school is over. If not, well then it should be over soon, I would hope. As well as potential Christmas breaks happening all over for those of the working persuasion. And we very, very much appreciate you taking time either out of your busy working schedule as you try and finalize things for the end of the year, or if you are currently on your break already. Thank you for spending the time with us here at Team Goon Squad, as well as the Just Two Idiots Cup Series. I'm sure I can say on their behalf as well that we thank you very, very much for choosing to spend your evening with us. Now Dixon still at the top of the pack. He is on his outlap right now. Almost looks like he's trying to hit some one-lap wonders with a very, very minuscule amount of fuel. Seems to be working for him at the moment, so certainly can't say that he's doing anything wrong in terms of that. As we've got quite a big grid here tonight, I think I counted around about 29, maybe 30 cars out here coming to tonight's event. So the Endurance Series always putting on a good show, and one that we can all look forward to. Drivers with just over 2 minutes left to go, so you're going to have maybe a lap, maybe two, if you cross the line at the right time. You can see there Dixon trying to warm up his tyres as Joshua Spears set an absolute banger as he gets into the top of the table with a 155.11. That is absolutely incredible, as Joshua Spears is not wanting to be outdone here. He's proving that he has been at the top of the table in the previous two practices, and he knows where he should be. Now, granted, all the top three drivers right now, Tonlo, Dixon, and Joshua Spears, all in the Porsche GTE here tonight. Our first non-Porsche is Void sitting in the 4th position in a Ferrari, followed by Bozak in the first Corvette sitting in the 5th position, with Nick Beaver in 14th bringing up our first Ford, and our first BMW, Just Dylan, sitting in the 15th position just behind him. A lot of varying skill levels out here in the Just 2i Cup Series. That being said, if you are a newcomer, or if you're someone who really likes a good racing challenge and someone to race with very cleanly, very consistently, definitely hit up J2ICS. I believe it is .com as well as their website. I'm literally on it right now. Yes, J2ICS.com. And they will have a lot of interesting stuff for you, as well as an opportunity for you to join in the racing, join in the action, and show what you're made of. Always a race, no matter where you are out on circuit, when you are racing with the J2ICS. Benny Dixon cheering on Up Front Motorsports, currently sitting in the 3rd place in the team standings, with Joshua Speed and you know who. Oh, Joshua Spears. That looked like, excuse me, as I have a little bit of a drastic moment up here as I contemplate my life decisions on stream, as Dixon sets a fastest lap right at the end there, showing Joshua Spears that he is not playing around either. Those two flip-flopping all over the place with time, so it's certainly going to be interesting who gets the better of who towards the end of this one. And it would seem that qualifying has pretty much come to an end. A couple of drivers still showing as being out on track right now. One of them being Nick Terrell. And AJ, I believe, just ahead as well. Oh no, Tonlo, excuse me. As he seems to be having maybe a few blinking issues. But for the moment seems to be quite steady. That front left tyre almost looked like it was a bit loose coming through. Just a little bit wobbly. But I'm sure all is well and good, trying to get as much time as possible out of that machine. With a new fastest lap of 155.4. Unfortunately, not able to compete with the front runners, but definitely not far off. 0.3 is something that definitely can be made up over the course of a run without too much of a hassle, as qualifying has now wrapped up. We're going to get ready to call the grid here in just a moment. Megan Malley, Let's Go Void. Another one for Let's Go Void. John Melbud bringing it in. A lot of fans. Cheers to Grandma as well. Got to support the Grandmas. Always a very, very important thing to see family involved very heavily in a lot of the careers of these, not only J2ICS people, but also a lot of sim racing community folks around the world. I'm sure a lot of family friends are very supportive of us wasting our time and effort, putting it into something that we feel extremely passionate about and are very happy to be a part of. And I cannot express to you how amazing a community it is. So very, very happy to be a part of it myself. Dylan Meyer also saying happy birthday to his grandma. There you go. So that's where the cheers to the grandma was. As we would also like to say happy birthday to Dylan Meyer's grandma. Thank you for tuning in as well, as he himself cheering you out. So Dixon starting up on pole here tonight, with Joshua Spears in the second placed spot. Tonlo up into the third section, starting in your second row. Void up in fourth. Bozak in the fifth position. You know who sitting in seventh. Simply Steve in the eighth position, and I may be reading that wrong, and I am. I've missed a number somewhere, as Simply Steve is actually in the seventh position. Urko sitting in the ever troublesome eighth spot. Donovan sitting in ninth with Etmadust alongside in the 10th position. Ace sitting in 11th with DC rounding it up in 12th as we cycle it on back. 13th position with Nicolator, and starting alongside him, the Nick Beaver. The Nicks just can't get enough of each other, as the 15th spot will be made up by Just Dylan. 16th with Paper Bag. 17th, Nick Terrell. Another Nick just a little bit further back in the pack. He'll be wanting to get up to his Nick brethren, I'm sure, as the race goes on. Biker Pilot in the 18th position, as well as AJ in 19th. And Crew rounding out our top 20 in the 20th place. Sector in 21st, alongside with Bar South in 22nd. Book in 23rd, and Garlic Dog in the 24th spot. Cycling on back a little bit further, and that looks like Quamped. I'm sure I'm saying that absolutely wrong. I apologize for that one. Camped? I don't know if that's my accent struggling with that one or just me. It very well could just be me, as a Q is not the easiest thing to pronounce. McMurk starting in the 26th position alongside with Squilliam in the 27th spot, Nick Johnson in 28th, Prince Adam in 29th, and Joe Albanese rounding it out in the 30-car grid. What an epic show we have for you tonight, and I hope you are ready for a very, very spectacular race as Dixon leads with Spears alongside as the pack makes its way around. And as they do, we'd like to thank Designers Home Gallery. For over 2 decades, Designers Home Gallery has been saving the world from ugly floors. Now saving the world from ugly racecraft as well. If you're passionate about racing or know anyone that is, check out the services provided by Designers Home Gallery and J2ICS. Now, I did have a little bit of a voice break there. I'm sure a lot of people had a bit of a laugh at my expense. And unfortunately, that seems to be a growing case for me as well. But yeah, so there's a lot of support for Void, which is fantastic to see. As Void being shown the love from the fans and potential keyed up to win this one. I'm very much looking forward to that as Void is running the 25 car. And for those who know me know that the 25 is my number of choice. So definitely backing Void as well, even though I'm supposed to remain absolutely impartial up here in the booth. Also support for one of the Knicks. Zen coming out supporting one of the Knicks. There are 3 of them, so it just depends on which one he's talking about. Another car guy was asking about the difference between P1 and P2, and the difference was, I believe, if my memory serves me right, my very short goldfish memory, it was about 0.04 or 0.05 of a second. So it was very, very close. Dixon just able to keep it ahead of Spears. So we have a very, very good race coming for you tonight. A drive-through at 16x, 16 incident points. And every 8 afterwards receives a drive-through as well. We are limited to 48% fuel. As I said, we are expecting a fuel stop every 25 to 30 minutes and 1 tyre change throughout the course of the evening. A 90-minute race. Sit back, relax, grab a beer or some champagne as we get ready to send them off for 3.7 miles of Sebring amazingness.
Green flag, green flag.
And the green flag is out, and there we go. So Dixon's going to start us off very, very strongly. Out front by a landslide. Joshua Spears not too far behind, though, trying to follow with. We got 3 4-wide potential battles closing in on each other. Void gets absolutely sent out to the outside, so he's going to fall back a few spots, and we have a car going round already. That is a BMW right in front of everyone. I believe that may be AJ involved in that one. As the field goes on through, we're going to stick with the action with Eat My Dust and You Know Who for the moment, but we will queue that one up for you. And just get it ready, as You Know Who tried to send it, almost got into the back bumper with Urko as well behind, locking up the brakes all over the place. The battles just keep continuing, and there's another off as well with the only Ford on track, Nick Beaver, involved in that one. We're going to queue up the first incident and we'll run through them. So here's what happened with AJ in his BMW on the inside. Just loses the tail end. It gets sent around. And a couple of drivers get sent with him. Nothing too bad in terms of incidents though, which is quite miraculous in terms of parts flying around. Although there were a few cars involved, Sector being one of them and triggering our software as well. Oh, and that's so unfortunate for the 75 machine trying to go through the grass, trying to avoid it all bar south, and unfortunately was unable to. Collected by AJ, who was having his spin. And we'll go and have a quick look at DC while we've got the time. And this was DC's incident. Oh, just too much curb. And the car not liking him at all for that. So we catch back up with the leaders now. Dixon setting the fastest lap, of course, as the first lap is down. And out for this one, a car very wide off the track. And I believe that may have been Nodovan, and it was. As he took a little bit of a detour out onto the sand. But now right on the back bumper of Simply Steve. These two drivers battling for the 5th position side by side, heading into the very, very tricky hairpin, the slowest corner on circuit. Able to get around it, not too much of a worry. There's going to be one incident point there, definitely for Nodovan, excuse me, who had to go way out wide and completely missed the corner. Simply Steve still alongside, though. These drivers not wanting to give an inch to each other, as it looks like they're still side by side coming next corner around. This is absolutely incredible right now, what we are witnessing. And it looks like finally Simply Steve is going to retain that position. Much to the annoyance, I'm sure, of Nodovan and Void trying to get back the places that he lost. So that was a very interesting race start. It looks like for the most part everything has kind of settled into a bit of a rhythm. We did get a report of Ace 22 having a bit of an incident, so we'll take a quick look at what happened there. As he may have just gone a bit too deep with a solo car incident and just loops it around. A bit too quick on entry into the very, very tight hairpin. Who was that out the back? I believe that was you-know-who. It was very, very wide. I thought might be sending it into the barricade. Thankfully, able to get it slowed down before then. But that looked very dangerous for a second there. This is definitely the track of Sebring, rearing its ugly head with some of these drivers already. Another car guy asking us what the track temps are, and we'll bring that up for you. As we believe that's not what we were looking for. There we go. Temps are 70 degrees Fahrenheit. So not the warmest, but also not the coldest. Edging towards the cold side of things though. 70 degrees is the track temp currently, and that will only get colder as the night wears on. The sun going down, that will change the dynamics of the circuit. Void having a little bit of a lockup just in front of it, my dust, but able to keep it together for the moment. As we've got a few battles, let's go back to Ace 22 as he is currently in a battle with Sector just ahead. These two drivers had issues early on. Sector with a spin in the first lap. Ace 22 with a spin in the second lap. But definitely sticking together for the moment. Not letting either of the two have too much racing room. And trying to catch back up to where I'm sure they reckon they belong. As we go back up towards the front, because don't look any time too quickly, as it looks like Nodovan and Simply Steve are going at it again. Nodovan tries the high-low maneuver, gonna go for the switchback. Side by side now as they head over the line to the next lap time, increased by Dixon there at the top of the show, 155.7. As we see this battle, Nodovan sending it in early. Simply Steve has more of a carry, but he's not going to be able to make it back past. So Nodovan very happy to finally make that move, and Void sends it into the back of Nodovan. And that is not what we wanted to see. Not for Nodovan, excuse me. That was Simply Steve, who had that incident. So let's back that one up. see quickly what just happened to Simply Steve. As we saw it live, just getting on the brakes a little bit too early, I think, for Void to notice. Amazingly did not hit a wall and got it back dialed in without too much of a problem, and finds his teammate now with Eat My Dust right behind Void. As we have another incident on track. I believe that is Crew falling down the standings just a little bit, as he finds his way back onto the circuit and pointed in the right direction once more. A fantastic race so far here at the Gitmo's Empty Tank Invitational Volume 3 at Sebring International Raceway. Closest battle on track, the Nicolator following Paper Bag, who himself is following Urko. Excuse me, Just Dylan is following these two in the BMW. Urko's a little way down the circuit ahead of these guys. As they are nice and smooth through the first sector. See no one getting too crazy with an attempted pass. Everyone following along suit. Nicolator with a little bit of a wide entry. That's going to cost him on exit. Paper Bag's going to get a little bit of a gap built up as they head towards the straight. Is there going to be a potential dive bomb from Nicolator just behind? No, he's going to stay behind. Stay in tow for the moment, but definitely close that gap up. And we'll jump on board with Just Dylan in the BMW behind this battle. So Just Dylan sitting in the 12th position right now. You can see not too far behind these two as they are dueling for the position of 10th. The ever coveted top 10. You can just get a sense of speed as well as some of the corners and some of the curbs not being too friendly to some of these machines. As bouncing all over the place, but getting it done and doing so in a good way. As we bring up the standings once more for you just ahead. There's the battle. Nicolator's going to make the move, send it in real deep. Has to be careful not to get loose, keeps it underneath him. Paper Bag's going to fire back on exit though. He's going to have the run. Will he be able to do something with it? I'm not sure he's close enough, but yes, he's going to try to anyway. And it looks like Nicolator's going to give him the room. And the two stay side by side. Both clean, competitive driving from the two of them. Fantastic stuff. Nicolator going to stick onto that spot though. And Nicolator up into 10th. Incredible drive from those guys as we go back up towards the front, because we find Bozak has made his way around Tonlo for the 3rd place position and moving a car other than a Porsche up into the top 3 spots. The Corvette, always a fan favorite of anyone who drives it. It's a very, very nice and well balanced vehicle. Makes me wonder when the GT3 variant of the Corvette will be joining us, especially considering that factory support, I believe, has been dropped from official series in the real world right now for some Corvette, at least on the World Endurance side of things, for factory support. And that has very much been unfortunate news in the past year. Race TV saying he has to go, but be safe. And I'm assuming he's talking to the drivers or maybe all of the other people watching at home as well. And in that case, I would like to send out my same sentiments, as that is very great from you and we are very thankful to hear that you are thinking about all of us. As Bozak continues to stay in front of Tonlo, actually making that gap a little bit bigger as he continues to make his way around the circuit. Not too far behind, just a little ways down, further down the track. Eat My Dust still has You Know Who right behind. Now what's really interesting about this as well is these two drivers are both in the team standings, the second place and third place team standing positions right now. When I say second, I of course mean equal first, with Love Seat consisting of Beaver and Captain CK. Beaver unfortunately a lap down right now, and Captain CK I believe hasn't shown up for this event, so they may lose their team standing positions to one of these two teams, and that's why this is so interesting with the battle right here now between Eat My Dust and You Know Who. Of course, Joshua Spears on the same team as You Know Who, currently sitting in the second position, so that is going to give them a lot of team standing help and potentially maybe even pull them forward. As Eat My Dust's teammate, I believe, which was Simply Steve, I did see him have a little bit of an incident earlier on, so he has dropped down to 13th position out on track. Trying to make that final corner as straight as possible to get the speed off was You Know Who, but it doesn't look like it's done him enough good as Eat My Dust has gained a little bit. Let's go even further back to the 11th place spot. Paper Bag has Just Dylan still sitting right there, the BMW we were riding on board with earlier. Still in the hunt and very much in contention for that spot. And he wants it. Nicolator has built a bit of a gap. Simply Steve is catching up to these two. The teammate we were talking about earlier in the show. Just a moment ago, Penny Dixon saying, "Go Noah." You Know Who definitely making some work, putting some work in the 7th position currently. Or in the 8th spot currently, I should say. Sorry about that. He is the number 7 car. That's why that threw me off. As Tonlo has actually made his way back around Bozak. So we'll take a look quickly at that pass for the 3rd spot. Oh, using all of the track. He paid for it all. He's going to use it all. And with a very, very clean pass out on track, gets that one done. So the drivers all seeming to settle into their own small rhythms right now. The closest battle on track, definitely these two still, Paper Bag and Just Dylan, sitting very close together. You Know Who and Eat My Dust also very close. Further up the track, not too much separating those two. In fact, they find themselves a little bit closer together than this battle we're currently watching at the moment. So we'll check back in with them once we see what happens here, as Just Dylan is looking very, very racy right now. And he is not too far off the back bumper of Paper Bag. Is he going to send it? Coming into Sunset Corner. Aptly named for where the sun is setting. Currently out on track. And you can see the lights are on as they are starting to get a little bit harder to see out on circuit as the sun continues to go down. There's a bit of a shove. Paper Bag looking to just keep Dylan behind. Not wanting to see Just Dylan make that move. So just closing the amount of racing room that Just Dylan had. And brushing a bit of the wall in the process. So that will definitely not make Just Dylan all that happy. And there's a potential that something could unfold from this one. And Simply Steve right on the back bumper using all of that going on right now to catch up to the rear. That's fantastic stuff. We've got quite a few battles still happening out on track. Ace 22 still battling behind Sector. You got Eat My Dust, You Know Who battling for the 8th place position. Bozak and Nodovan. Oh no, Bozak and Tonlo now, excuse me, still battling for that 3rd place as they continue to switch to and fro in terms of the quicker of the two. Now all these drivers definitely know what is needed for a good performance here tonight. And a good looking go at it is You Know Who right on the back bumper. He's going to have the run. Eat My Dust tries to close it off. It's not going to be close enough. There's a little bit of contact, not too much though, just a little bit to tell him he's there. And You Know Who makes the pass. Finally, Eat My Dust tried to fire back on the inside, turned the car just a little bit too hard at speed, and it almost lost it on him. Thankfully able to hold it together. But You Know Who has definitely taken that place back up into 7th once again. And we go back a little bit further. Sector and Ace. And Ace is going to take that position away from Sector, but slowing down a little bit. Here comes Sector firing back, trying to get that 18th position back and not going to be able to. So Ace holds on to it for now. Can't say enough as to how excited we are to see so many drivers and so much support from the fans as well coming out here tonight. More support for Void going on, as Void is currently 2 positions down from where he started after having to be, I'm not going to say bullied out, but definitely squeezed off the track a little bit on the start of the race. Currently sitting behind Nodovan and Bozak as they're pretty close together. But he's putting in some pretty quick lap times of his own. Void's fastest lap at 1:56.5, with the leaders 1:55.7, so less than a second behind the leader's time. And while that sounds like a lot, that's honestly not that much when you consider just how much time there is to be gained. It is a 2-minute lap, let me remind you, or thereabouts, as a new fastest personal lap for Nicolator, sitting in the 10th spot, as well as Nick Terrell. 2 Nicks again, doing things in a similar fashion. It's almost unbelievable. So just ahead of Void, as we were saying, Nodovan and Bozak, those 2 teammates having a very good points night tonight at the moment, sitting in 4th and 5th respectively. And they are definitely with Night Racing, spelt with a K. I should have said Sir Knight, or made some sort of joke that would have been applicable there, and I didn't. Void gang rise up, says Megan. Benny Dixon letting us know that Josh and Dixon are pulling away from Tonlo. And absolutely right is Penny, as they have opened the gap up to about 4.5 seconds from Tonlo to the leader. About 3 and a bit to Joshua just in front. So that half a second time, or a tenth of a second, there we go, or 5/10 of a second. Finally, I was able to get there in the end. Gap paying dividends right now for Dixon and Spears to make that gap over the 12 laps that we have had. Just over 20 minutes completed. Still quite a bit to go as we are approaching sunset. Now, interestingly enough, or we are in sunset, but interestingly enough, as you can see, the Corvettes do not have very strong lighting on at the moment, so I wonder what is the thought process there. If they think that all is well and good out on circuit and they don't need their lights quite just yet, but Void with all of them on, as you can see just behind, wanting every single bit, maybe trying to blind the drivers in front, who knows? As Void makes his way around in the 6th position, and he has been closing that gap to the two night racing teammates in front very, very quickly. Only sitting about half a second now behind Bozak, who himself sits about 3 to 4 tenths behind his teammate Nodovan. Now these drivers, as said earlier, are going to have to watch out for those incident points. 16 being the limit. Void currently sitting on 0, and I believe is the only driver with 0 incident points that is still out on circuit. So great stuff from Void, keeping it clean. Void setting in a fastest personal lap at 156.46, and using that to his advantage, has closed right on the back bumper. Has a little bit of a sniff at the position. Bozak doing all he can to make his Corvette as wide as possible, but that Ferrari wants as much as he can get, as we're going to ride on board, because I think that would be a splendid thing to do with Void for a little bit. And not sure if you could see that, but there was that light change right there. Just a little bit of a blink as we were a little bit into our onboard with Void there, as the Corvette's lights just came on. And that's basically, that is a little bit of a system. It's not really a glitch, it's more of a shift from daytime driving into nighttime driving on the iRacing service. And it's just a very, very quick couple of frames to let you know that we've shifted into nighttime. And there's a change. Bozak and Nodovan. So Bozak has gone through. And Void tries to come as well. Tonlo, you know a who, and Joshua Spears all down pit road. Right at the 25-minute mark, our projected window was 25 to 30 minutes of driving. Nicolator, Paper Bag, Urko, Eat My Dust, Just Dylan, all coming down pit road. So this will be interesting, with Joshua Spears coming down a little bit earlier than Dixon out in front. You've got to wonder if Dixon will stay out a little bit longer and try and play the fuel game, or if he wants to stick with his, probably his biggest rival out on track at the moment. He wants to stick with Joshua Spears. He's going to have to come in right now, or the lap straight after. So as he is currently on the backstretch, we'll keep an eye on that. But right now, Void sitting in the 4th position due to those pit stops. working still on the back bumper of Nodovan. You can see the Corvette's lights very much on at this time. Extremely nice exit there heading towards Sunset Curb. I believe it's called the Le Mans Chicane. I could be wrong there. From Void. Did that very, very well. Closed the gap just a little bit more. And Dixon, there it is. So he has come in. Followed by all three of these guys. Bozak, Nodovan, Void, all coming down. Simply Steve and Nick Terrell, the only two drivers who have yet to box. As well as Book, excuse me. Simply Steve's going to stay out again, so he's going to play the long game. And let's see if he can lead a lap here, as he's going to take over the lead for the moment. Check in with Nick Terrell. He is also going to be staying out one more lap at least. Does Book make his way in? No, he's staying out. So those three drivers all deciding to stay out. And Dixon came out just in front of Joshua Spears. Spears will have the nicer, warmer tyre underneath him. Just by a little bit. Neither driver changing tyres. However, a little bit warmer from running on the track for an extra lap. Although that should not take very long to equalize. And we will certainly see a race underway, as they are right on the back bumper of Nick Terrell, currently sitting in the second position. Now I'm sure we will see Simply Steve and Nick Terrell as well as Book come down this time by. Simply Steve coming in. Yes, he is. Nick Terrell right in front of these two. That's going to be a little bit awkward, but yes, he makes his way down pit road. Gets out of the way. And here we go. Dixon and Spears battling for the lead. This time Spears is a lot closer. Let's see if he can get anything done with it. Tonlo takes over third. And we'll have to see as Book, yes, he does come down as well. So all drivers have now made their pit stops as we have come to the 30-minute mark. And that is interesting, because that almost makes me think if Nick Terrell, Simply Steve, and Book could make it to the 30-minute mark, maybe just a bit over 30 minutes, they might be better at saving fuel than the rest of them, which also means that they may have to pit one less time, depending on how this one shakes out. Going to be very interesting to see, as Spears is still trying to hang on to the back bumper of Dixon. So there you go, Joshua Spears just falling back a little bit from Dixon at the moment. So it looks like Dixon is very keen to get out of the way of Spears and not wanting him to get the drafting help down the straightaway. Not sure it's going to be enough though, as Spears is still just there. You can see Tonlo. And then right behind them, Bozak, Nodovan, and Void. As well as you know who has caught up that gap. as I've just noticed. You know who with the quickest, I believe, quickest stop of our pit stop cycle. Just going to run through that just to clarify that one. And no, I am wrong by a small amount. McMurk. The honours go to him in the 16th position with a stop of 17.07 seconds. Gas it and go, as they say. McMurk doing the best job of that with his pit crew. Now, not super far ahead of him. Paper bag, Simply Steve going at it. Simply Steve did come down pit road later than most of the other drivers out on track, so he is going to be, I believe he's just set his out lap, so he is on his first proper lap behind Paper Bag right there, using a little bit of curbing, unsettling the car, and that is going to open that gap a little bit as we head just a bit further up. Because Bozak, Nodovan and Void, these three drivers are still not wanting to be separated from one another. Another car guy letting us know that he was going to send a message talking about Simply Steve's burning of fuel as he was trying to get up to the lead, and realizing that he sent it just a little bit late as he pit right as he hit the message. So, but you know what? I'm sure that it's appreciated. I know I appreciate it, and I'm sure the drivers appreciate it regardless of what time or what you have to say. Definitely let us know which driver you are cheering on, rooting for, and whether you're having fun or not. Community engagement is always the biggest part of my job. And I'm very, very appreciative to have a very talkative community, not just here in J2ICS, but the bigger spectrum that is Team Goon Squad. As an umbrella, always been incredibly warm and welcoming, and J2ICS is a big part of that community. We know Void has a lot of support in the chat, and he is doing a pretty phenomenal job. Still down 2 spots from where he started, but he's got both of those spots in his sight right now. Interestingly enough, though, you know who also has some support in the spectator area, is not too far behind this battle either, and may find himself making it a 4-car battle as Bozak has a little bit of an issue, maybe checking up not even just behind, and that could be a bit interesting. As you can see, just running a little bit wide, Bozak as well. Dixon has opened that gap to Joshua Spears for the top spot to just about a second. So Dixon just that tiny little bit faster than Joshua Spears right now. Spears has to hope for some changing conditions, or maybe some lap traffic to help him close that gap. Unless he can just edge out ever so slight bits here and there, as they are not separated in lap times by very much at all. If you want to know last time by, it was less than 0.3 of a second of difference between Dixon and Spears. Unfortunately, Dixon having the extra 0.3, be quicker. As you know who sets a fastest time for him personally, as we will see a few of those times come down as we start getting our way into nighttime. The track temps cool down, the tyre temps come up, and the fuel levels get lower. However, they will definitely reach a point where these cars get a little bit slidey, and the nighttime jitters come into effect, and that will start slowing a couple of drivers down. Not by a whole lot, but at the moment they can see exactly where they're going without a problem. We'll see what that's like in the next half an hour or so. As Bozak's still leading this pack. Less than a second separating all four. You know who. It looked like was going to make a move on Void there for a split second, but was unable to get it done. That's 3 positions up for grabs for you know who, and he knows he wants them. And wouldn't you? That rhymes, and I think I said that just quick enough to get the rhyme on in there. So slightly proud of myself, even if no one else is. As as you know who continues to make his way around. That was a very, very good exit, very strong. I'm sure he's going to try and make the move on Void here, heading into Sunset Corner. All thought about it, trying to scare Void. He is going to make the move. Void cuts it off though. And absolutely no love lost between these two. As Void continues to stay ahead, what about turn number 1? You know who's going to have to hold up behind Void for the moment. Or maybe sending it around, coming into the very, very difficult, I almost want to call it the squiggly bit. The squiggly bit where there's only one car really with the room, and I apologize for all these little squeaks that I'm having. Obviously haven't drunk enough water today. I'm all for making fun of myself up here in the booth though, so by all means let me have it if I am not doing... If you think of something funny, you know, or whatever else, definitely to do with that or anything else, do not hesitate to hurt my feelings. And let me know what's going on, as definitely like to have a bit of fun up here in the booth. As these two groups, due to these battles, have separated just a little bit. Bozak and Nodovan have increased their gap to just about 1.3 seconds ahead of the two fighting out for the 6th place behind them, which includes Void and you know who. It's great to see 3 different manufacturers as well as 2 teammates all involved in a fairly close battle. As I have not been paying as close attention as I maybe should have, Joshua Spears has been closing the gap slowly but steadily to Dixon up in front. Now it's not too much, still sitting at about 6 or 7 tenths, but is closing that gap down ever so slightly. Ooh, now very close is Joshua Spears. We're going to have to go up to that battle and take a look. As down to less than 4 tenths. Spears has found the rhythm that he wants. And those two Porsches definitely going at it right now. We will head back just a tad to Nodovan and Bozak once again. Sector and McMurk having their own battle side by side right now. McMurk had the position, took it away. Sector takes it back. Nodovan and Bozak exchanged hands. So Nodovan now in front of Bozak through Sunset Corner for the 4th position. And look who's caught up. Boyd and you-know-who. Let's take a look at the onboard camera of you-know-who, as Urko is the first one into pits on this cycle. Oh, Void with the move on Bozak, able to get it done. You-know-who's trying to do it as well. You-know-who's going to have to send that one and keep his composure together. Gets a little bit loose, and what a run from Bozak on the outside line. Somehow manages to keep it together. They're still side by side heading into the very tight next right-hander, and still on the outside line. Bozak, it has to be said, phenomenal drive. And he's able to keep it together. Now, what we did see just briefly when we were jumping on board with you-know-who is that the Porsche as well as the BMW from earlier are a little bit Spartan on the interiors of those machines, whereas it looks like the Ferrari as well as the Corvettes are quite nice in the interior design. With a lot of buttons and different switches to adjust various in-car oddities. You-know-who is not going to take that one lying down. And he wants that spot. He was content following Void, but when Void went past Bozak, he was not happy to be left behind. And you can see he's definitely wanting to take that spot away. The battle up front continues to be around about half a second at the moment. Dixon and Joshua Spears. Dixon opened that gap just a little bit more, but still quite close as we're focused on the battle for 6th. Boyd still the only driver out on circuit with 0 incident points, keeping it very, very clean. So fantastic safe running from him. And only 1 spot down from where he began, with Nodovan right in front. Oh, and there's a little bit of a mistake from Bozak. You-know-who's trying to take advantage. Not sure he's going to be able to get it done around the outside. Doesn't. That's a very, very difficult place to try and make a pass, so I'm not surprised. He looked like he decided to back out just a little bit there as 2 cars going into a 1-lane piece of asphalt or piece of real estate does not really work. As you-know-who is going to have to follow along behind the Corvette of Bozak for 1 more lap. Now don't look now, but there's a battle a little bit further in the back in the pack. For the 16th position, Urko is just ahead in the 16th spot. But McMurk sitting in 17th had got a little bit loose, and Barsouth is trying very much to take advantage of that. As they are still quite close together, Barsouth trying to close that gap to McMurk. Quite a few battles around the track at the moment. We love to see it, as McMurk has a bit of an issue, and he's going to fall back. So Barsouth takes over that one. We'll take another quick look at McMurk and see what happened there. Just didn't get it slowed down enough and had to pull off of the circuit. South takes over the 17th place position. Meanwhile, Donovan and Void still having a close battle, as well as Bozak and you-know-who. Bozak once again takes that same corner, just a little bit too wide. Scrubbing those rear left tires on the dirt. And that is not going to be helping with tire management either. As you-know-who gets a nicer run, much nicer, out of the corner. He's going to want to use that draft though, so let's see what he does. Sticking that nose right behind. Deciding not to go for a lunge. Brakes a little bit later, right on the back bumper. Turns it in earlier. Let's see. Oh, it looked like there was a bit of a tire wall smack from Bozak. Let's take a quick look at that one. Just trying to push too much. And yeah, just clobbers the barricade ever so slightly. Decent hit, actually. But saved from severe damage, it looks like. May have the left front tire, or the left front tire, left right tire might be bent in slightly. That has got to hurt as Void and Nodovan exchange positions. Void up one. Nodovan having a little bit of contact there, it looks like. There was no actual physical contact, but a bit of netcode getting involved in that one. Void trying on the high side. We've seen it being done by Bozak before. He looks like it's going to be done once again. Void trying to squeeze out Nodovan. Nodovan not having any of it as he takes back on the inside line, and he's going to stay in front, but Nodovan has the run as they continue to switch back and forth. Who's it going to be? It's a very, very tight section to go too wide. They manage it. And Nodovan holds the spot. Unbelievable racing as Void is right on the back bumper again. You-know-who's trying to get involved in this one. This battle just does not end, and you-know-who is caught right up to the back bumper of Void. And he letting us know that the nephews are cheering on Uncle Dixon up in front. And fantastic to see the family support, as we said earlier on, as the sun has definitely set. And we are starting to head into the night. Dixon with a 1 second lead over Joshua Spears right now. And seems to be maintaining it quite well. Although there is the odd occasion, what we're noticing is Joshua Spears definitely seems to be quicker on the middle sector than Dixon, who seems to be faster at the rear and start of the lap. So definitely something that we're intrigued with as we continue to watch on. And we have not been able to tear our eyes away from this battle between Nodovan, Void, you-know-who. And earlier on, Bozak was involved in this one as well, as it has been some amazing racing from all parties concerned. As another car guy lets us know that Void has been making some very, very great, very good moves. And still maintaining his 0 incident points as well, mind you. So making some moves that may be seen as slightly aggressive, but maintaining a 0 incident limit, which is basically how you want to race people at all. As you-know-who goes for a bit of a lunge. And he's tried that before on Void, and Void once again says no in the same fashion, but runs a little bit wide. You-know-who's going to have the run. Joshua Spears and Tonlo both down pit road once again. As you-know-who tries to make it to the inside of Void. and does so. Boyd's going to have the run coming out of the corner, though. No, I think he's going to admit defeat just for now. And you know who takes over the third spot. You can see the lights are shining. The sun is disappearing very, very rapidly. As we are just under an hour into this race. Just over half an hour to go. There's been some amazing racing, and oh no, you know who sends it in just too deep. He's going to lose that spot that he just gained to Void and finds himself back under fire with Bozak once more. Bozak's going to try and take that straight away, even with damage to the left side of that car. It's not going to be able to be done. There's almost a little bit of contact there with Bozak as he was trying a bit for the over-under. You know who was not having it, parking his Porsche right there on the apex. And those two are going to settle for what they have now. You know who, as we said, having a bit of an incident. We'll check it out. And we believe just had a little bit of a solo spin. Too hard on the brakes. No ABS to help him out. And unfortunately, car spin around when back tyre faster than front one. As we are continuing to make our way through. Great recovery, though, it must be said, by you know who, getting that one dialed in and done quickly. So Dixon still leading by a phenomenal amount right now. As you know who, Bozak and Eat My Dust all come down pit road. Donovan and Void staying out. Now we have been expecting a tyre change of sorts. Still have yet to see a single tyre change. I believe, looking at the timing of the pit cycles, it doesn't look like anyone's done a tyre stop quite yet. We may not actually see one. We're expecting one. That doesn't necessarily mean we'll get one, as temps keep coming down, generally meaning that the tyres will last longer. And yes, still no one making those decisions, as you know who, Bozak, Eat My Dust, and Paper Bag have all come down and have left within the time frame. Sector and Bar South are now down, as well as we look back at the battle for 5th position. Simply Steve leading Tonlo right now. Now Tonlo has pit this cycle. Simply Steve has not. Remember, Simply Steve was one of those drivers that stayed out the longest on that first run. So he's still going to have a couple of laps, I'd say, left in the tank. If my math is serving me as what is called broadcaster math, in which we try our best, but we usually get it wrong. As Simply Steve is trying desperately to hold on in front of Tonlo, but Tonlo definitely has the quicker pace right now. And Simply Steve wants the inside line. You can see it maybe letting Tonlo know that he wants to pit this time by. And he needs that inside lane if that's the way he's going to operate. Boyd and Dixon are both down pit lane. Donovan stayed out. Simply Steve continues to keep going. So doesn't pull down pit road as we thought he may be. So both of them pass Void and make their way up another spot on the table. So there is Dixon. He's still pulled out just ahead of Spears. And once again, Spears showing that he's closed that gap just a little bit on pit cycle. Pitting that one lap early. Definitely seeming to give him that slight advantage. But will be using a little more fuel. And on this final run, I don't think this will be a very interesting fuel game now that I'm thinking about it, because there may not need to be a third stop for someone like Simply Steve, who may have saved enough to make it all the way to the end. And if that's the case, he could very much find himself in first at the end of this race. So, definitely something to keep an eye on. As Dixon and Spears are both going to have to come in one more time for a splash and dash. I can almost guarantee that one. As Bozak had a little bit of a moment. Remember, Bozak still having that damage from an earlier knock against the wall. Not even coming down pit road. His teammate is finally coming down. We'll see if Simply Steve continues to stay out, as he is currently on the backstretch, and you can see the light has pretty much gone from this event. And Simply Steve is going to stay out one more time, getting very, very close to that barricade. We know that tie barrier can sneak up on you, as it has done to cars in the past. They're going to have to be wary of that one, especially as the tires continue to fade. And the light goes out, giving you a false sense of security, thinking that the wall is not quite as close as it actually is. Simply Steve and Tonlo still right on the back bumper of each other. Now, Simply Steve will be wanting to save some fuel as much as possible so that he can make it to the end. So he's probably wanting Tonlo to pass him and maybe use that slipstream behind Tonlo to save just that little bit extra. Whereas Tonlo is all push at the moment, or maybe the opposite is true, and Tonlo's thinking of saving some fuel behind Steve, which could definitely also be a good strategy. I'm not sure how that's going to work. I think he's come down a little bit too early for that to pay off. But it's definitely one of the things that we will keep an eye on. Once again, thank you to the fans as we reach the 1 hour mark of this event. Thank you for everyone showing up for this Team Goon Squad rendition of the Just 2 Idiots Cup Series, sponsored by Designers Home Gallery. We are very, very thankful to have you with us tonight, and we hope you're enjoying the show as much as I am in the booth. And I hope I can provide the action in the best way possible. As Simply Steve is going to make his way into pit road now. Be careful of that pit road speed limit, and in he comes. So it looks like everyone is separated by a decent amount. Joshua Spears is far ahead of Dixon, which is interesting, and I may have missed what happened there. I think I have. So, yes. Alright, we're going to have to play that one back. Sorry, apologies, all in the excitement. I missed what happened to Dixon. Oh, just got a little bit too much grass on the left-hand side heading into the corner. And he had to give up that spot. Thankfully, car's still in one piece and able to get going once again, but that has relinquished the lead to Joshua Spears. So apologies for missing that one in real time as we were concentrating on other things. But definitely Dixon is going to have some time that needs to be made up towards the end of this one. And as I said earlier on, I was almost wondering if it was going to be a case of fading light potentially playing a factor. And that may have been the cause of that issue for Dixon. Just not being able to quite see the very edge of the track. And getting involved there. Now, what you heard there was definitely, assuming you did hear what I heard, and I assume you did, is Sector brushing that wall. Now, that sounded like a big old crash. I believe that is netcode telling us that he did hit it, even though on his screen he most likely avoided the wall entirely. It's unfortunately what happens when you deal with a service operating in different time zones, countries, and on the internet, I guess, just as it is. Now, Eat My Dust just made a very clear and concise pass on Nick Terrell, who is doing that fuel-saving strategy along with Simply Steve, and he comes down pit road once again. So the only one that was on that strategy with those two was Book. Now, he has already come down once again, so he will not be on the same strategy as these two right now. But Nick Terrell leaving it absolutely to the last minute. I think he may be guaranteeing himself to make it to the end on fuel, which is definitely going to play in the minds of some of these front runners. If they're not aware of it, they soon will be as time runs down. Now, having a look at the timesheet that we've been focusing on every single stop, it does not look like any driver has come down 4 tires at all this race. We'll get confirmation with a few of the drivers once they finish up. We'll talk to a couple of the leaders to see if they did, but I don't believe any tires have been put on the vehicles, which you can definitely last without them, especially as we go into nighttime. But they won't be feeling all that good, as that was very, very close with the leader, Joshua Spears. And I believe that looks like it was McMurk. And it is. So that was very, very close, slowing him down as well. And Dixon very happy to take quite a bit of chunk of time away from that lead that is currently in front of him. Now all these drivers setting times at about the low 157s, high 156 marks, where they have been sitting pretty much all race long. So dwindling light and a cooling track cannot, well, dwindling light slowing him down, a cooling track speeding him up. Tire wear slowing them down, fuel getting down is speeding them up. So it's obviously not a 1-to-1 perfect ratio or scenario for these drivers, but definitely adding to the consistency and the reason why we are seeing the consistency that we are seeing. As I struggle with my own tongue twister that I've invented for myself, we keep watching as Dixon slowly closes that gap. Now it looks like Bar South is getting very, very close to Biker Pilot. That's actually our closest battle on track right now. So we will head there on circuit as they make their way into turn 1. Currently fighting for the 14th position. And we'll wait maybe about another 5 or 10 minutes before we show you exactly what we're talking about with what these drivers are having to deal with when it comes to dwindling light. As you can get a little bit of an idea, or quite a bit of an idea, I'd say, from the outside, as Bar South takes advantage of Biker Pilot's mistake, running a little bit wide into the tight hairpin. And this is where it's oh so important to have done a lot of practice and you get used to where those braking markers are. Here at Sebring, there's not a whole lot of indicator as to where some of these turns are. A lot of it is by feel. Thankfully, Sebring, unlike some other tracks out there, it does have runway lights all the way along the track, which, believe it or not, you can see them every so often as the camera pans following a car. They do provide a decent amount of light funnily enough. And whether they are runway actual lights, I don't think so. They're probably just reflectors on the ground, but be that as it may, they're doing the job of providing quite a bit of light for these drivers. As it gets harder and harder to see. A little bit loose was Bas out there. Biker Pilot makes his way down pit road. So he's going to go for an old splash and dash. Make it the last 23 or so minutes to the line. And we might as well do it here. I don't think it's going to get much darker. So we'll ride on board a full lap with Joshua Spears out front. That was a lap on board with Joshua Spears, and don't look now, but Dixon has been closing that gap while we were on board. It's just about a minute at the moment, a second. Geez, a minute would be a quite a big gap. It's about a second at the moment. Void has also caught up to Nodovan for the 4th place position. And I'm sure Spears is going to be very, very happy seeing the gap closing down to the leader. Now, it must be said, while we were on board as well, great respect from some of these drivers, knowing that the leaders are coming past and allowing for plenty of room, not wanting to get involved in anything. Especially anything that would impede these leaders' journeys as they make their way around the circuit. And here we go, only 5/10 separating the two. Dixon is on a roll and desperately closing that gap to Spears just in front. Less than half a second now. A huge run to the inside under braking. That's going to allow Spears to get a little bit of a run on exit. But Dixon's going to use that draft to fire back a 156.48. That is absolutely flying for this time of night. And Dixon is on a roll. He is desperate to get that first place back. Spears still holding on strong for the moment. It's been closing quickly as Void and Nodovan also have their own battle. Just going to pan away very, very quickly as Void takes that spot. And it looks like he'll be able to hold it. So Void up into 4th position. He has made his way past Nodovan there on the inside of turn 1. And Void comes back to the spot where he started the race from. It may have taken him some time, but he's finally where he started. So he is back where he should be, as Joshua Spears is still trying to open that gap as much as he can. Some lap traffic is not going to help. It's not going to be in his favor, especially coming into these few corners. We'll see if he can catch it before Sunset Corner. And it looks like he will, but he's also slowed down a little bit to make sure it happens. Dixon is right on the back bumper right now. These two are battling tooth and nail. And things are only heating up as the track temp is cooling down. See from Dixon's point of view, Spears is just there. That bright green car, little bit of what looked like a touch of the wall. Again, I believe that is just iRacing playing tricks on us out here down under in Aussie land. As we're still going pretty strong for the moment. Lap traffic once again getting out of the way, doing a great job. Not wanting to be involved in this battle. Be very happy for Joshua Spears. Is going to be very happy to see that. Less so Dixon, as you can sometimes use that lap traffic to your advantage when passing the car ahead. As they would say in the NASCAR world, using him as a pick. Catching him in the wrong place, but there you go. So right on the back bumper, Dixon, Spears. These two have had a no-holds-barred grudge match throughout this entire race. Dixon has more often than not had the upper hand, but make one mistake and Spears took advantage. Now Dixon wants it back, and we've got just about 15 minutes left to go. About 6-7 laps to see who can make their way through. Interesting that Joshua Spears looks like he's changed his line entering Sunset Corner. And it looks like it's actually gained him a slight advantage there, so he might continue to do so as we go forward. He's entering a little bit lower to try and cut off any sort of thought that Dixon can make a move there if he wants to in the future. Very much enjoying the battle between these two up front. Not too many battles close together at the moment. Nodovan has fallen away from Void just a little bit. Void has extended that gap. Ace, it looks like, has been left behind just a little bit. No, he might be catching up to Book just ahead for the 16th place position. Lost a few drivers as the race has progressed. But we've still got quite a lot on track right now. "22" to be exact. So it's great to see that many drivers out and continuing to run laps, as Nick Terrell just set his personal fastest lap with a 57.89. And remember, Terrell and Simply Steve just ahead might not have to pit. Joshua Spears goes in. Joshua Spears has gone in. So Dixon, who was always pitting about a lap after Joshua Spears, and Spears got the advantage coming out as of coming out of the pits, got the advantage on Dixon just by a few tenths, and that could make the difference as Dixon is trying desperately to make his way through. The real interesting thing is Tonlo and Dixon, are they going to come out in front of Simply Steve? And it looks like they will, as Spears is out now, out on track. Tonlo's trying to join him. He's going to come out right in front of Eat My Dust, who does manage to go through. Eat My Dust takes the 6th place away. Boyd in second, involved in a bit of a battle with Nodovan behind once again. Nodovan has closed that gap. Ace did manage to pass Book for that 16th position out on track. Nicolator has come down pit road. It's getting a bit crazy out there. Paper Bag also down pit road. All eyes are on Dixon as he heads down the back straight. Will he come in this time by? Will he try and stay out a little bit longer? He's going to have to take a tiny splash and dash of fuel. When is he going to choose to do so? He's going to stay out one more time. He's feeling good and he wants to keep on going. A 156.7 last time by. That is certainly not a time to sneeze at. That's quite quick indeed. So if he's feeling good and he's got another lap or two in him, might as well keep it going. Needs to build that gap as much as possible. You know who's come down pit road. Ace has come down pit road. McMurk is also in. Just about 10 minutes to go. Surely Dixon can't make it to the end. He's gonna have to pit. Joshua Spears now right behind Nodovan. Maybe held up in traffic behind him. Excuse me, that's Nodovan and Void in their battle. I'm reading that one wrong. As there they are. So Spears not checked up by these two, as we falsely accused them of. Tonlo has made his way still behind to Eat My Dust, trying to make that pass, and does so back up into the 5th position. So Tonlo up into 5th. Simply Steve still heading out there. He's hoping, he's banking on people to pit in front of him. We know Joshua Spears doesn't have to. Dixon's going to have to. Look, here he comes. Is he going to come down this time by? I would say that looks like a man who's going to, and yes, he does. So down pit road goes Dixon. We'll keep an eye on that one, as that's going to be very interesting to see where he comes out around Spears. Spears had a time in his pit stall of 9.7, and that was around about the distance between the two of them when Dixon came down. Void comes down pit road. Nodovan stays out. Dixon is on his way out. Where is Spears? Spears is still coming. Dixon is ahead of Spears. So making the move on pit strategy, Dixon finds himself a couple of seconds up as well. Going to be absolutely well, I guess ecstatic with seeing that happen. So Dixon will be in the top spot when Nodovan comes down pit road. Nodovan's last lap was quite a while ago. We don't think he is going to be able to make it to the end. Now, he did manage to gain a couple of laps on his previous time down pit road. Managed to stay out a little bit longer. So if he does the same thing again, he'll get close. But I don't think he's going to make it, unfortunately. And that will hand over the lead to Dixon. Barsouth is down pit road now as well. As the field has spread out as it does during pit cycles. Dixon is sitting about 6 seconds behind Nodovan right now. And we have seen the pit lane time be about a 30 to 40 second window. Closer to the 40-second mark. So Nodovan's going to stay out again. I can imagine he's quite desperately fuel saving in that machine. Trying to make it to the end. Spears with a 1:57.1, so a little bit slower than he would like to see. A couple of 56s, unfortunately, not going his way right now, and it looks like Dixon is definitely cementing himself a little bit further ahead. The gap increasing a couple of tenths the last 2 times by. Biker Pilot and Sector now having a bit of a battle side by side. And Biker Pilot takes that 16th place away. As you can see, Dixon is trying to follow him through. And Sector will move aside and let Dixon through that one. So the leaders still having their work cut out for them, trying to cut through this traffic. I mean, if Nodovan has managed to stay out in front and manages to finish on this fuel strategy, that would be absolutely incredible. Now, Spears has closed the gap quite significantly to Dixon now as well. I believe part of that will be due to lap traffic. As Dixon has finally made it around those 2 drivers of Sector and Biker Pilot. Nodovan stays out again. This is going to be starting to wear on the minds of Dixon and Spears. Thinking to themselves, not only do they have to battle each other, but also they're thinking, no way, can Nodovan make it to the end? And that will definitely play on their minds. They might take a little bit too many risks trying to catch up that gap and may find themselves spun around. Another car guy letting us know that it's been 80 minutes of exciting racing and fun being a spectator. Thank you very much. I will take that as credit to myself, but definitely the majority of the credit to the drivers who have put on a phenomenal show. They do all the work. I sit here and bring it to you. So they are definitely the ones who receive that compliment more than me, and I'm glad you've enjoyed the show. Thank you for sticking around, and I'm sure the drivers very appreciated as well. And you are right about the difference in strategies also definitely showing themselves, and this tends to happen with a lot of these longer drives. Get these strategies that come out of nowhere, and definitely Nodovan. Oh, this is going to be very, very close. I believe there's going to be 2 more laps to go. Now, he did pit on lap 29. Now, we know Simply Steve will be able to make it, and or should be able to make it, and he pit lap 30, as well as Book. So, Nodovan may just have enough if he's saving fuel, and he definitely must be, because Dixon has closed the gap big time and is continuing to do so. Nodovan does not want to pit. You can see the difference in time there, a full 3 seconds. The difference, and Dixon is all over the back of Nodovan right now. Nodovan's going to have to choose between defending and using up fuel, or deciding that defending is not worth it and saving that fuel underneath him to make sure he can make it to the end. It's definitely a tough call. As a driver, you don't want to give anyone a spot, but he may have to do so if he wants to make it to the end. And there it is. There's the move for the lead. Dixon makes it happen. And not too much in the way of defense from Nodovan. Maybe he is running on empty, and he's going to have to make sure that he can make it to the end. He's going to try and use that draft behind Dixon now to not only stay in second position, but also save some fuel. And it looks like he's not going to be able to use it for long, because Dixon is on a mission and he is out of there. He is absolutely gone. So Nodovan now has to try and save himself some fuel, as well as some time against Joshua Spears, who is quickly gaining on him as well. Plus side for Nodovan definitely is that he is going to be ahead of Tonlo by quite a few seconds. So if he's able to hold onto it for 1 more lap, then he can make it all the way, and he will probably be able to finish on the podium. I'm not sure if he's going to have enough to hold back Spears, as here he comes. Nodovan's staying out, he's taking the chance. And he's going to have to go very, very slow to make sure that he can save enough fuel. It's going to be tight. We're going to jump on board and see if he's actually managing, and he is very light on the throttle. Not sure if you can even hear that. But he seems to be feathering that thing around as quietly as possible. And shifting very early, only building up about half the revs needed before shifting. Trying to save all the fuel possible, as he is rapidly losing time to Tonlo, who must be absolutely in shock that Nodovan is even here right now. And he will be driving like a madman to try and get the podium position back from Nodovan. Simply Steve has managed to stay the entire time out, so has Book. And they will be pretty good, but Nodovan is biting for that podium. Tonlo is closing the gap oh so quickly. Is Nodovan out of fuel? I can still hear some engine sounds coming out of that machine. Here comes Tonlo right behind. And Nodovan has nothing to say or do about it. He's going to have to fall back out of the podium contention as we get ready to celebrate your winner here tonight. 1 more corner to go. He knows not to mess it up. Take it a bit easy. Dixon, take a bow. The race is yours. Okay. Hi. That's a camera shot. As Joshua Spears makes his way. I did not expect that. And Tonlo takes home third. Void as well passes Nodovan. So does You Know A Who, and Nodovan is definitely out of fuel. He ran out right at the end. Can he make it to the line? He's going to be coasting. Will Simply Steve make it to him? I don't think he will. Nodovan with the silent car. It's running on electricity and crossing the line. Simply Steve, there he was, just passing. So a great drive from Nodovan, actually finishing 3 spots ahead of where he started in that race. So the strategy still a net gain for him. Our biggest mover of this race, when we came down to it, was Bar South, equal with Biker Pilot, up into the 14th and 15th place respectively, up 8 positions. So great job from the two of them. As the race for 13th and 14th is the only thing currently going out on track. Paperbag's still trying to hold off Bar South, and I think he's going to be able to, with just over a second, just under a second now between them. Bar South definitely closing that gap very, very quickly. Quicker than I thought possible, but I don't think it's going to be enough. And the checkered flag waves for those two as well. So the results are finally official. As we try and get them up for you. Hopefully I can do that. If not, we will skip straight to the driver interviews, as all 3 are currently waiting. So we might just do that for the moment. Let's get Tonlo up in here. Tonlo, welcome to the podium. How was that race from your perspective?
Uh, Lonely. It was a lonely race. The beginning started out fun. I realized I put way too much wing on my car, so I had no straight line speed. But I was really good in the corners. So once I got past Bozak there at the beginning, it was lonely.
Well, I tell you what, it might have been a little bit lonely, but certainly not out of any excitement, because even though it might have been lonely for a majority of the race, we saw you right at the end there catching up to Nodovan. Surely going through your head must be, there's no way this guy can make it to the end.
Uh, I didn't even notice him until the last lap started, and I said, why is he up there with Josh? And I was like, there's no way he saved that much fuel for, I mean, that he had to have saved like 4 laps of fuel, which, or maybe not that much, but like 3 laps at least. Yeah, I was like, man, I guess I'm not going to get the podium after all of this racing. And thankfully he didn't save enough.
Yeah, he definitely had no fuel when he came to the line, but I will say, Tomo, even though it may have been lonely out there, it was still a great race. No one took tyres. Let us know if there was the decision to not take tyres based on the fact, well, how they were feeling. Let's go with that. How were the tyres feeling underneath you at the end of that race?
They felt fine. I mean, nothing compared to the last race that we did. I knew going into it we weren't going to have to take tires because the track it was gonna be nighttime at some point, and the track was going to be cooler. So I knew my tires would last. Like I think I still had over 60% tires as my worst tire at the end. So it wasn't. It was pretty much straightforward. No tires.
Well, that's actually very impressive, and I didn't expect that. But Tomo, before we let you go, give us a quick shout out, friends, family, sponsors, whoever you'd like. The floor is yours, man.
Thanks to my wife for letting me do this while she takes the guard, and thanks to my brother because without him having the same enthusiasm as me for sim racing, I don't think I would be doing this as much. And so it's always helpful to have somebody else that appreciates your hobby just as much as you do. So yeah.
All right, sounds good, Tomo. We'd like to thank him as well, because otherwise we wouldn't be seeing you out on track doing your thing. And it's been absolute pleasure to have you up here in the booth and talk to you after that race. So go on, go out, go have some fun, and we will talk to you potentially in a couple, or in the new year.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's right. So Merry
Thank you.
Christmas, or Happy Holidays, I guess I
Yeah,
should
Merry
say,
Christmas.
and have a great year, or great rest of the year.
Yeah, thank you. You too.
Sorry. Yeah. All right. See you later.
Bye.
All right, that was Tonlo and me, especially struggling up here in the booth as we get ready to welcome Joshua Spears up into the second place. Now, Josh, how are you feeling at the end of that race?
Sketchy. The setup, I burned the front tires really bad, so I had no steering in the front end.
Okay, well, I mean, let us know how that actually went because Tonlo was telling us that the tires weren't that bad on his machine. Of course, he probably wasn't pushing as hard as you were with that battle with Dixon was absolutely heating up, and I'm sure those tires were feeling it as well. But so when they were pushing out, was that just a struggle to get into the corner, or was it more on exit where you felt like you couldn't put the power down as quick?
Primarily on exit because I turn in and brake way too hard. But again, I'm trying to get used to a new pedal, and it's a hard one to get used to right now.
Well, a new pedal or not, it was a phenomenal drive, and it looked like with Dixon's mess up, it was going to be all your way. Unfortunately, it didn't end up that way, but still a fantastic drive. I can't thank you enough for putting on the show that you did tonight.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Sean, for the setup. I'm running one of his setups.
Oh, okay, so that might explain that. But
It
regardless, I mean,
definitely does.
yeah,
Yeah,
regardless, you
thanks,
guys
man.
are still incredible drivers. So before we let you go, who would you like to shout out? Friends, family, sponsors. The floor's yours. Second place, that ain't half bad.
Well, I'd like to thank Sean for the setup and also helping me get all fast. Thank you, Maya, for watching. My lovely girlfriend was watching me, and I appreciate it. Thank you to anybody else. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
All right, very humble and very many thank yous. So we will see you later, Josh, and we'll see you in the new year. Have a happy Christmas, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, whatever you call it, and have a great New Year's as well. We will see you in the new year.
Yeah, Merry Christmas, guys. Have a great night.
All right, that was Joshua Spears bringing it home in the second position. Now bringing it home in the top spot, Sean Dickinson. I should not have had a little bit of a bobble in my voice right there because that sounded absolutely awful. So I apologize, Sean. Um,
Yeah,
how
great
was?
timing.
Yeah, sorry about that one. But how was that race from your perspective?
That was a pretty good race. Yeah, I haven't been in the rig in a couple weeks. Just been doing other stuff, working on cars and stuff. So it was pretty good to get back in it and have a decent setup that lasted a while. Have Josh been able to hold on to my draft the whole race, being able to pull him along, get him a podium. So it was a good overall race. And then
Yeah,
I parked it in a funny way. I can't believe I got stuck, and I was so worried I didn't cross the line.
Oh, you made possibly the perfect picture at the end.
Yeah.
At the end there, you were just staring at me. It was great. But I will say that race with you and Spears at the end there was absolutely phenomenal. Talk us through what was going through your head, if you can remember when you made that mistake of two tires in the grass, the thing spinning around on you. Did you think that you weren't going to be able to come back, or did you just decide to send it?
So funny story. Josh is actually my teammate, and he was running my setup, and I was fuel saving to keep him in draft so we could, team up and kind of run away. So I knew I was gonna gain on him a little bit, and then because of his fuel saving, I knew I had at least 2 or 3 seconds in the bag. So right when I got back on track, and I was within like 3.5 seconds, we already knew that in the pit stop we were gonna change positions. So it was just more of a, can I catch you? And then once I did, we talked to how much fuel we had, and I knew he was in a pit in like 2 laps, so I just stayed behind him, and then like normal, just switched in the pit lane. So,
Like,
but no, it was fun. I don't know what happened. I just lost it, and I forgot where I was, and I just tried to keep it out of the wall.
Look, it's definitely a race of attrition, and it's more of a, I find more often than not, it's actually more of a mental game than it is a physical one as well, especially when you're driving a repetitive track over and over. Not that Sebring is repetitive, but you know what I mean. Like, you're going around the same circuit over and over, and it can sometimes just get into your head as, like, you're just relaxing, and then all of a sudden you make a mistake and it wakes you up. But I will say that it was, I can't say enough that that was a great race. All the spectators loved it from what I can see. Penny's been in chat. She's been absolutely cheering you on from start to finish. And it's just been great to, really an honor to call a race like that, to be honest with you. So that was great. I don't know what else to say
Yeah.
other than,
Well, I mean,
yeah.
it was, it was definitely a good one. Did you happen to catch the very last second of qualifying for the pole? We had
I did.
that was interesting. Yeah, yeah, I went full on Jurassic Park. When you gotta go, you gotta go. I had to I was either gonna take crew out and put him in the wall, or I was gonna get pole. So
Yeah,
I can't believe how close I got to him. But
I think I got that. I may have missed it, so I do apologize if I did, but
okay,
I'm pretty
oh no,
sure I
you're good.
got it. But maybe I didn't.
Yeah,
But look, Sean, before we let you go, friends, family, sponsors, you got to give us a shout out. Final ones of the night. You're in first. You got to be elated with that one.
yeah. My Penny's my mom, so I always thank her for watching. I gotta thank the guys, Josh and Noah, Tomlo. We're all friends. We're all having some fun, putting on a good race. And thank all the guys at SimCity Racing. Being supportive, allowing me to take my time when I need it. Figure out what I want to do. So yeah, love all those guys, love the sponsors, and yeah, we'll see what happens in the next one.
Sounds good. Now, Penny was also letting us know about halfway through that race that your nephews were watching as well. So it's
Oh
it's
yeah,
it's
she's over at my sister's house. So yeah, makes sense.
oh, there you go. Well, it's always great to see,
Yeah.
family getting all together and watching. I know I get a lot of enjoyment out of that as well. So, it's really nice when stuff like sim racing can bring the family together and everyone watching along and cheering on their favorite uncle. So,
Yeah, there we go.
yeah.
That's awesome.
All right. Well, Sean, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. We will see you later and have a very Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Season's Greetings, whichever one you'd like to pick from the name of the hats, and have a very good New Year as well.
Yeah, you as well.
All
I'll see you
right.
in the next one.
See you then. So that was Sean Dickinson bringing it home in the top spot here tonight. Now, it is my absolute pleasure to have been giving and providing this broadcast to all of you spectating at home, as well as whether you're cheering on the drivers, the spectators themselves, me in the booth, Team Goon Squad, the Just Two Idiots Cup Series, Designers Home Gallery for sponsoring us. We couldn't do it without all of that big machine sort of just coming together and somehow making it work. So we'd like to thank you very much. And I'd like to thank you on behalf of everyone involved in that. We will see you in the Endurance Series on, I believe, January the 4th is when we are due for our next race in the Endurance Series. I'll just do a quick search on that one once again. January 3rd, excuse me, for Miami Speedway. Don't forget to check out, if you want to, December 20th next week. We do have Canadian Tire for the Sprint Series LMP 3 machines only. It'll be some quick racing, 2 back-to-back, and an inverted grid as well. A lot of fun. Keen to see you there. As I said, on behalf of the broader spectrum Team Goon Squad Just Two Idiots Cup Series, thank you very, very much for watching, and we will see you next Thursday, or hopefully sometime in the future. Catch you then.